Welcome to the Reset with John Bell and Tom Hoyer. I'm Tom Hoyer. The other gentleman you see here is John Bell. Thanks, everybody. I'm here this week without my makeup. I had red nose last week, and that was lack of preparation on my part because I didn't have sunscreen, but I took care of that this week. We're meeting here for the third episode. And so yesterday I went to the Free DC March. This thing took us right down 16th Street to the White House. We had it was a very energetic and diverse group of people. The bond there was extremely strong. We had age ranges from toddlers to senior citizens. The organizers of Free DC, what a job they did. They had resources, water, they had signs, they had bullhorns, they had just everything that you can imagine you would need to have. They're veterans, it seems, to maintain that level of energy because it was hotter than hell. And it's a beautiful day, but very hot with a lot of people around. You know, we knew it would be a long march, but it was certainly worth the effort. And I just want to commend them. What a great job they did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Was that MoveOn.org that was behind that or somebody else?
I think it is actually an
Yeah.
organization called Free DC.
Oh, okay.
And if you Google them, I'm sure you can find their site. You can sign up, make sure you get the email notifications for any future marches or protests that they may be organizing. And, you know, obviously there's an alliance. They have groups that are very much affiliated with them or adjacent to them so that, we can constantly keep hammering at this thing because that's the only way. You know, I am a proponent of peaceful protest. History and the data shows that that is the most effective method for change. And it certainly was that. You know, there were no confrontations,
You didn't you
and I
didn't
can't.
see any major police presence or people, uh trying to intimidate or anything. It was all smooth from that standpoint.
Nothing of that sort, of course. Now you're talking about DC, and most everyone there is, pretty liberal. Although it only takes a few jerks to really kind of uh, make a big problem, with people. I can't recall seeing anything pro Trump or MAGA or anything like that. And while I don't think there would be anything in the way of a violent confrontation, I certainly would think that anyone showing up would certainly get a good bit of lip and in your face kind of, interactions. All in all, tremendous size. Everybody, again, chanting. There were plenty of photographers. So, and as I said earlier, this was my first protest and will not be my last.
Nice. So it sounds like you had a positive experience. And what tell me, like, I don't know, just like sometimes when I go to like that, unique special concert that seems like it's, turns into one of those iconic moments. Like what did the energy feel like? Was it pretty intense or what was your impression?
Yeah. And yeah, it was, the energy was certainly intense. I was accompanied by a good friend and his family. He has two daughters. They're both high school, junior high kind of thing. He had his wife there. So we were able to chat. And, at one point in the conversation, it basically just came down to this, real sense of that, we are on the right side of history here. I mean, however long this takes, we're going to prevail. We're going to return, I believe, to democratic order, the rule of law, an adherence to the Constitution, the removal of corruption of our Supreme Court and money that is into both sides of our democracy, both political parties. And I think we're going to come out better for it. And I think looking back, our descendants, our children, our grandchildren, and so on are going to look back on us and go like, yeah, with pride, based on what we're seeing now and how not only corrupt, illegal, jaw dropping, depressing is the absurd theater, right? I mean, the stuff that we're watching now, you and I, as younger men, children, could not imagine that our elected leadership would behave even remotely. I've said before, if I were watching a movie with this, I would probably not be able to suspend disbelief. I would say, oh, this is just too over the top. It's outrageous. Is this a comedy? So I do think a lot of people will deny family members and friends that were on that side, especially at this point in the whole second administration, particularly
But yeah,
because
I
it's
mean,
just an
this has
abandonment.
been far worse than the last for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and it's right in front of your eyes. It's plain to see.
Yeah. It is. It's I think the biggest danger, I think, well, there are plenty of dangers, but some of the biggest dangers are, I think there's still a lot of the population until it hits them. And I think you may have talked about this in our last episode a little bit, but until it hits them in the pocketbook or wallet, some people just aren't going to care or pay attention. So I think, apathy and complacency, I think anyone that's paying attention and anybody that you and I can get to pay attention, um, it is plain to see. I think the other challenge is that some of it's overwhelming because they're coming at all of us, at both as collectively and groups that we may belong to that they don't consider to be okay, LGBTQ. I mean, I saw like they're even willing to they want to bar trans people from being able to have a gun. So they're willing to sacrifice the Second Amendment, which is the only amendment I think they really care about. But it's interesting now that we're kind of on that topic, because I agree with you. I don't know if you listen to or have read anything from Heather Cox Richardson, a really noted historian on all of these topics, and has maybe a slightly more positive view than many of us feel right now because of the times, pre-Civil War, sort of various periods during, up to leading up to Reconstruction and during Reconstruction, and then Jim Crow, where we've had, uh, bad people with bad intent, in the leadership of our government, and that we've come back. I still don't think that those situations were totally analogous. And I think a lot of people overlook the role of technology that can play in terms of controlling. Like if they can fully implement the police state, then
Mhm.
that would change things. So I think the protests are great. I think mobilizing everybody now for the elections that are coming up for the midterms, those are going to be critical, and that's an obvious statement. But for us to beat this back and to forge something better and new, because like if everything had been a-okay, I don't think there would have been the opening for MAGA and for Trump and for all of these low, low, low men in high places, because
Mhm.
people are, you know, there's a whole bunch of us out here that kind of feel like we've been screwed for the last 30, 40, 50 years. And we're just at this inflection point where the people that are doing that are behind it, the oligarchs, as some like to call them, are close to fully seizing power. So I think we have to keep the sense of urgency going, all of us together at the same time that try to find constructive ways to participate in the democracy beyond, like, it's just not enough just to vote. Like you did this past weekend, get out in the street, add your body and your voice and your presence and your energy into the mix. A whole bunch of things we can be doing, volunteering for a campaign or two. It's not hard. If you want to join a phone bank, you can do it from your computer. But anyway, I commend you, Tom. I think it's great that you got out. Disappointed I wasn't able to join you, but I will definitely be looking to join some here in the near future. And yeah,
Yeah, and, last but not least, it was fun, it was really fun,
yeah,
you know? I mean, no one was crying, no one was sobbing, everybody's laughing and, lots of optimism, people looking forward. again, just a high deal of energy. One of the favorite parts, and I posted this on TikTok as well at Reach the Reset, was a short clip I did, video clip of the church, Foundry United Methodist Church at Church and 16th was ringing its bell in support of us the entire time, just ringing the bell, ringing the bell. And everyone that went by was applauding wildly, as you can imagine. And I took this, and it's really been a popular video clip to see this kind of thing happening. And I think it's great. I think it's great to have the support of a Protestant Christian, house of worship anywhere, anytime, because this thing has been so warped. Whether you think of Jesus as a Messiah or, like me, simply a philosopher, you follow his philosophy, he would be marching with us, right? He
No doubt.
would be absolutely against what ICE is doing. He would be against all the corruption. He would be against all the cruelty. It's there in that Bible that you guys reference for everything. It's
Yep.
right there in plain sight, the New
Yeah.
Testament.
I got
It's
an idea.
far more
How about they stop thumping it and they start reading it?
right. Try to stop looking for some obscure reference to something that happened in the Old Testament to justify your worship and support for Trump, and just simply read the New Testament. Now, I know it's a dull read, all this turn the other cheek shit.
Well,
much eye for an eye is way more action film, right? Fun.
right.
But the bottom line is, you're Christians. You're supposed to follow the philosophy of Jesus Christ, not just
Right.
lip service. Got to
Right.
walk
Don't
the
be
walk.
Yeah, don't be a complete hypocrite. I think the problem, and you've got the MAGA cult followers that are, following the lead from the supposed, I don't want to call them thought leaders, but the unthought leaders there. And it comes down to everything else that I've been harping about MAGA and this administration, which is, it's really not about, for them, for the people that are trying to orchestrate this, it's not about religion. It's not about philosophy.
No.
It's not about decency. It's not about the teachings of Jesus Christ as a Messiah or a philosopher. It's about power and how much money they can rake in. And it's a scam. It's just another scam. And it's built on the racial and class animus that has been in this
That's
country
right.
forever. Yeah, and it's time for people to reject that, because I'm an avowed atheist, but I was raised in the Episcopal Church. Some call that Catholic light, but I'm familiar. I've read the Bible. I was forced to go to Bible school, and you're absolutely right. Jesus Christ would probably be filing the third party lawsuits along with Democracy Docket and trying to block every policy this administration has, because it's all based on either graft or just cruelty for the sake of being cruel, and the accumulation of power and the destruction of democracy. And I don't think he'd be down with it. So I think you're right on
They
that.
would have deported him back to Palestine by now.
Oh yeah, exactly. They'd be
There's no
bombing his
question.
ass in Gaza if they had their druthers. And yeah, it's a sad thing. I'll throw out a few things, kind of current events that are happening real time. I think everybody saw the 16-foot probably fishing vessel type boat that we took 3 U.S. destroyers and a nuclear submarine, for fuck's sake, and blew this thing up. Now, I don't know, like maybe it was loaded to the top of the hull with drugs. I don't know. Maybe the Tren de Agua is known to, be involved in human smuggling. Maybe they killed some innocent people that they were smuggling somewhere, but I don't think that boat had enough fuel. And we know that boat didn't have enough fuel to get to the United States. And they blew it up because Trump wants to
Right.
be able to say we're at war with Venezuela on that pretext,
Sure.
so that he can do even more, fascist fuckery, and try to get away with it. So I just urge everybody. I know, like, not everybody's into current events and all the terrible stuff that's happening. It's hard to watch and keep your sanity and focus on your job and your life. But pay as much attention as you can, because there's nothing that's happening. There's nothing that they're doing that doesn't have a nefarious reason to it. Just like, and I'm going to bring it up, I don't talk about it a whole lot because there's so much else to talk about, like saving democracy, but also like what they're doing, trying to block the Epstein information from coming to light. They're trying to redact all of the names out. There's people now, some of the women themselves are starting to talk about direct interactions with Donald Trump and other figures in his
Yeah.
administration. And that's what, like, when I say low, low men in high places, man, I mean low. I mean the lowest of the low. I'd rather curl up with a rattlesnake than these people. And we have got
Yeah.
to stop them. We have got to take this country back for all of the decent, normal people that live here, no matter what your color is or your religion. I'm an atheist, but if you're religious, I believe in your right. But trust me, folks, it doesn't matter what little subgroup you're in, they are coming for you. If they haven't come for you yet, they will. So it's time to strap it on. It's time to get out in the streets like Tom did this weekend. And it's time to show them that we will not lay down. And there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Believe it.
That's right. That's right. Again, kind of touching on a theme that we did discuss last episode, in that, the pain is going to be feeling more and more intense with the average citizen now, which may very well spur what we're talking about now. The jobs report number, we added 20,000 jobs. That's not even keeping up with the general population expansion. So the economy is definitely hurting.
It's turning. In fact, I think it's tanking.
Yeah.
I think it's tanking.
I, you know,
I think all these are getting like June got revised down to a negative number. I think we're flat out in a
right.
recession. I think the inflationary numbers are going to get worse and worse and worse because of the tariffs, but also just because of all the weird stuff that they're doing with the economy, because none of it is
Right.
intended to help the economy. Number one,
That's
it's it's
correct.
it's either his bizarre obsession with tariffs, which are stupid, in the way that they're approaching them, or it's just pure corruption. And I think it's safe to say that we have the most corruption in the modern era, bar none. And I think we're just getting started. So I think by the end, people are going to be angry. They're going to be feeling it. There's going to be a lot of job loss. There's going to be the affordability crisis is just going to get worse. And hopefully that will wake even more people up. And I think there's a wave building. We just, coming into the midterms, and also a lot of people are waking up to the corruption on the Democratic side, which some people are going to probably criticize me and say, John, stop criticizing Democrats. We need them. Yeah, we need
Would be me.
we need a real Democratic Party, and the people in the Democratic Party who aren't on the side of the working people need to get the fuck out too. We cannot afford that dead weight, and we cannot afford to elect them in the midterms and they get stabbed in the back. So we're going to keep pushing on all fronts. We're going to talk about what MAGA's doing, but we're not letting anybody off the hook. If you are siding with the oligarchs, you are the enemy, because they are the enemy, and we're coming for you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The last thing I'll say, John, and I think I want to go ahead and wrap this up. We've got some real technical difficulties this particular episode. We'll be back next week, but this is again trivial, but it says a lot about our current Democratic leadership. I saw some photos of Cory Booker's engagement. I don't know if you saw those. Perhaps you should Google them. People should do that.
Is it going to make me
Surely you
mad,
should be
Tom?
happy when you're engaged. I mean, if you want to see something that is a little nauseating, I've been engaged tons, so I know how it feels. And I never made photos like this. But again, it just kind of shows how tone deaf, your standard issue Democrat politician is. We're in a crisis now. there's no place for these particular type of these photos and the way that they look. Just Google it. All right.
Yeah,
Enough said.
I will.
I'm not going
I
to
can't.
go on and
My
harp
mind
about
is
this, but it's
already
just,
my my mind's already coming up with some ideas, but I'm sure it's extravagant, tone deaf. Like yeah, and let's face it. These people, on one hand, they'll come in, onto the Senate floor, make a great speech, but then they'll turn around. I'm not saying this about Cory Booker, but like figuratively, they'll turn around and go to Jeff Bezos' wedding in Florence, or not Florence,
yeah, yeah,
wherever it was,
yeah.
in Italy.
No,
But yeah,
yeah, exactly.
listen, the elite and the oligarchs, and if you want to call that the deep state, I'm fine with it. They're playing both sides. There's no question about it. So I'm not trying to turn people off to politics right now, because we need everybody engaged, but it matters. We need everyone, but we also have to be clear-eyed about who the enemy is and why they're the enemy and what we're going to do about it, because it is on both sides. It's the fight that we're fighting. I thank you for that's a great way to end the show, because I think that hopefully brings it top of mind to everybody out there. And as we like to say, stay safe, but stay active. Help us. And you can see us on we're on virtually all the platforms. So whether you see us on Spotify, YouTube, Substack, wherever it is, please hit subscribe. Please give us a look-see. We're continually trying to improve, bring more content, more ideas, and more people into the conversation. So we appreciate you watching this. And yeah, we'll sign off for now.
All right, Johnny. Have a good night, pal. Everybody else, stay safe.